Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, and today I'm going to be bringing you the deck list that I played for Shoreham-by-sea Regionals that happened just last Sunday. It's Monday now, so yesterday, and I ended up getting top 8 with this deck. I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty similar to a fighting deck that I showed you earlier on, maybe a week, maybe two ago, but there has been some amendments and changes in the deck, and I'll explain how the deck looks now and why I've made these changes. Stay tuned for a tournament report where I'll also go over what happened in those top 8, who were the decks, what beat what, and what eventually got to the final, etc. As well as my round by round stuff like that. Also, we got some footage of the final as well for you guys to see. The top 2 players, a best of 3, and it went down to 3 games, so very close games. We were able to get the camera to show that off, and basically, yeah, I'll probably commentate over it myself or Jack, and hopefully it should be pretty entertaining. So stay tuned in the next couple of days. We've got a lot of good stuff on this channel. So as you can see, I've got this nice new Monetric playmat. That's what I got. One of the things I got for getting top 8. I also got these nice sleeves, which have a new deck in them. So again, something else to keep an eye out for. New deck analyses and stuff like that. All the good stuff on this channel. You already know what we're all about. So basically, here we go. This new playmat in hand. We've got 3 Landorus EXs. This doesn't change. Hammerhead, just so strong. So much early pressure, both on active. Sniping bench, it can be useful even against non-EXs, weakening them to make it easier for you to take knockouts. Obviously good for low HP basics like Trubbishes and maybe Duskulls or anything like that. Also good for killing substitute robots on the bench. If your opponent is playing Donphan, and they play more than 1 robot down, you can kill 2 in 1 turn, which can really put them back a bit of a way, because if Donphan can't throw up stuff, if they can't throw up robots for more than like 2 or 3 turns, they're going to struggle against us. So Hammerhead, really strong for that, and of course Land's Judgment, his second attack for 2 fighting and a colourless energy. Maybe I'll show you on this one because it's a bit clearer. Land's Judgment doing that big 80 plus 70 more if you discard, so that can get absolute OKOs with muscle bands or strong energies or even fighting stadium. So that's a really big threat in the deck. He's a great attacker, and we play 3 of him. We're also playing 2 Lucario EX. He's in here for a number of reasons. One is Yveltal, because Missile Jab can, his first attack for 1 fighting can go through resistance, which is useful, and Landorus doesn't really hit hard enough against the Yveltal because of that resistance. Also, we have Corkscrew Smash, a second amazing attack, drawing us back up to 6, sometimes even more if we take prizes with that attack. So it really forces your opponent to end us the next turn, or if we have just been end and we Corkscrew Smash, we can get our hand back up for next turn, making it pretty good to end-proof ourselves sometimes. And Somersault Kick for 100, with enough stuff on board, that can sometimes get OKOs as well. So these 2 really work well. Attacking early pressure, just getting one energy on either of these guys, and you're starting to pressurize your opponent. And of course, Lucario can sit on the bench and stack up a couple more to do big damage in the mid to late game. Next up, our final fighting Pokemon in the deck. We're playing 2 Hawlucha. This guy serves a number of purposes as well. He has 70 HP and 20 resist, so Donphan actually has to hit like 90 to get through us. But obviously, his spinning turn attack is an even number, so he'd actually have to hit 100 with all of his power-up cards to hit Hawlucha for a knockout, which is amazing. So you can throw him up. He has a nice free retreat, so we can just wall with him for maybe a turn or 2 without him taking a prize, the Donphan player, while we look for Lysanders and stuff like that, which is very nice. Also, this is a huge bonus against Seismitoad EX. Flying Press just does so much damage against Seismitoad. And again, that 70 HP is kind of awkward. They need to have Muscle Band, DCE, Verbank, and Laser all in play to actually one-shot this guy. And we're really pressurizing for just the 1 prize. He's good. Also, just that 60 damage is a nice cleaning up move. Again, with Fighting Stadium, Strong Energy, Muscle Bands, all of that stuff that we have access to, That can get to like 100, up to 120, I think is the max he can do for just the 1 energy. So this can really clean up after we've got a couple of hammerheads on board. Also, he's another card, because of his ability, good against Yveltal because it goes through resistance. So that's good. The main change of the deck, instead of playing Garbodor, we now play a 2/2 Drifblim line, the Shadow Steel Drifblim. 50 times each energy, special energy in your opponent's discard. This guy is just a great cleaner. Sometimes this deck can struggle to keep up with KOs in the late game. After your early game spout of pressure, you can get end and it can be a bit painful for you, difficult for you to keep getting energies turn by turn and stuff like that. This is where Drifblim comes in. He comes in for just 1 energy and can sometimes hit up to like 200 if they've got 4 in the discard, which isn't that uncommon. After we've taken a couple of KOs and we also play a couple of enhanced hammers in here as well, this can do big damage. Also, he's non-EX and he's an evolution, so he can actually hit through Pyro. It's not the best thing we can have against Pyro, to be honest. We are a little bit Pyro weak in this deck. It's something I had to sacrifice in the place of Garbodor, but I felt confident that Pyro wasn't going to be too popular because at the moment Manectric EX is on the rise in the UK, so I thought people would be too scared to play Pyro, so I dropped Garbodor and put in the 2/2 Drifblim count, and it served me pretty well. There was only a couple of Pyro the whole day as well. So, and the final Pokemon we have is a Spiritomb. This is in here for Virgin, of course. Stop them getting Booster on board. They can really struggle against us. If they can't one-shot Landos and Lucarios, it's very difficult for them to keep up with prize trade. And we also have that Drifblim who can come in that matchup as well and do a good burst of damage. So Spiritomb, really a threat for Virgin. Also, just in those random situations when we've used our A-Spec and we probably are going to N our opponent or something, we can put Spiritomb down just so that if they have like Comp Search still in their deck or something, it's not an out for them. Our A-Spec of choice is actually Scramble Switch, and this card did so much work on the day for me. It helped me win at least like 4 of my games, so that's amazing. And the math just really works out well. Not even just the math, but the energy counts, it works amazingly. You can Hammerhead, turn 1, and then scramble into a Corkscrew Smash, which can get knockout sometimes depending on how many tools and stuff are on both your dudes. And equally, you can go from a Corkscrew Smash into a Land's Judgment, which is just huge pressure. And just whenever, really, whenever your opponent's not cleaned up one of these guys, a Scramble Switch can be really painful. So it's really, really good for this deck. Of course, we don't have any acceleration in here. I actually took out the baby Landorus, which I'm thinking of putting back in right now, but that's for another day. Scramble's our only real way of manipulating energy around our board, and it's very strong when it comes off. We're also playing 1 regular switch and 2 escape ropes. The escape ropes are in here mainly for Donphan, so that we can push their Sigilyph out of the active, or push maybe a sub-robot out of the active to get something else instead. Really disruptive in the early game against a Donphan player as well. Obviously, we can Karina for these guys, get them out early, when maybe they've only got a 1 or 2 card bench, maybe a couple of Fampies, and Hammerhead can start doing work there. Also, all of our guys are bulky retreaters, so having the overall 4 switching options is pretty important, I think. And I think these numbers were amazing for me on the day. So yeah. Also, we have Hawlucha, that's what I was going to say. Hawlucha has free retreat, so we can always escape rope into this guy, and then choose accordingly. If we're going to Juniper and we don't really get what we need, we can go back into the original attacker or whatever. So Hawlucha gives us that versatility and that safety after we've used an escape rope. Next we have Professor's Letter to grab us energy through Karinas. 1 max potion, again really annoying. 180 HP EXs is just amazing. Not many decks actually run 180s anymore. Probably these 2 are the most popular 180 HPs out there right now. Lugia's gone down in play at the moment, so max potion, very, very strong. Just heal off all the damage. If we've been hammerheading for 1 or 2 turns and our opponent finally has a response, max potion and carry on from the word go again. So 2 bikes just to keep us running through the deck very nicely. We can run our hand down low, so may as well. The other pseudo supporter card we're playing, 2 VS Seeker. Against Donphan, it's very important to have VS Seeker to grab more Lysanders throughout the matchup, because we're trying to take 6 prizes on the Donphans pretty much. They're trying to make it difficult for us with whatever they have active, so we got to move those out of the way. Also, VS Seeker is just great at grabbing the things you need. spam sycamores and stuff like that if you've been end. 2 Ultra Ball. The only things we really need to search for, Drifblims and the Spiritomb, because of course we have Karina for our main attackers, so we don't need to run too many of these, and I think 2 is the right count for now. We're playing 2 Enhanced Hammer. This is how we make Drifblim hit big damage. It slows down Yveltal decks, and it also slows down Donphan to a certain extent. It stops them getting Rex too frequently, maybe one off in the entire game. So Enhanced Hammer, very important for those 2 matchups. If you can use it on a Toad turn 1, excellent. Yeah, just minuses your opponent, even if it's sometimes like Virgin. Because I'm going to show you another card in a second, even hammering away Plasma Energy can be a bit annoying for our opponents. So the Hammer really strong right now. Even in the mirror match or anything like that, it's just really good. So the card that did the most work for me, I think, the entire day, this was just such an amazing card for me. Headringer. You know, it just makes everything so expensive. Virizion hates it. Manectric EX absolutely hates this because it can't Mega. Seismitoad can't get a turn 1. Quaking Punch because of Headringers. It's just a massive pain, and when we've got the combination of hammers and headringers, we can stall out for 1 or 2 turns sometimes, while we're just racking up damage with stuff like Hammerhead, spreading the cost around. It's also amazing because even if your opponent's benching 2, maybe 3 EXs, we can start Hammerhead and damaging some of them, and we headringer the ones that don't have damage on them, so both of them are sort of rendered not ideal for the opponent, which is amazing. Really good disruption. The only other tools we play are 4 Muscle Bands. This is our only protection against someone else using a headringer on us. Yesterday I wasn't headringed at all, which was pretty cool. But mainly it's our damage output increaser, and why not max that out? Aggressive, want it as early as possible so we can hit nice numbers. So. Now supporters, Colrus just draws us massive hands, and obviously having the 1 I'm comfortable with because we have 2 VS Seeker, so if ever we need to grab a fresh hand again and we don't want to discard stuff, we can VS Seeker Colrus. 2 Lysander, like I say, you have to be prepared for Donphan these days, so the 2 combo of Lysander and VS Seeker, and also the 2 Escape Rope, in theory we should be pretty good in that matchup. Wait for the report on that, I guess. We have 3 ends in here. I keep saying about this deck, we're being so aggressive, we're taking prizes early on. That's why we've cut 1 end. I've changed it for a bike because pretty much the bike draws the same amount of cards as an end does from about turn 3 onwards, and it's not our supporter, so we may as well just play bike instead. 4 Karina. This is the absolute lifeblood of the deck. It makes so many plays possible. It can grab us whatever we need for the matchup. It can grab Headringer. That's often the thing you're going to get turn 1. We can grab Max Potion. We can grab these Escape Rips and Switches for the Donphan matchup. We can grab those hammers as well. It just does so much. And of course we can grab the attacker for the specific matchup that we need. If it's Seismitoad, we probably are going to grab either Holucha or Lucario and leave our Landoruses hidden away in the deck. Stuff like that. So Karina's amazing. Finally, we have 4 Sycamore to round out the supporter count. This guy's obvious. He's just the best supporter in the game right now. And finally, we're playing 3 Fighting Stadium. I actually upped it from 2 in my last build. This was just because it gives us a slightly better matchup against Yveltal. The resistance becomes less important. And also against Seismitoad, we can use Holucha a bit more effectively, even if we can't get a tool on the first turn. It's likely that we can hit 180 in 2 hits if we have these 3 stadiums in play. It is a bit more dead against Donphan, and that's why I'm considering putting in a baby Landorus to help us out in that matchup a little bit more, because these are obviously dead cards in that matchup. Because 1, he's not an EX, and 2, they play it themselves, so they're going to be the ones putting it down, and they're just dead cards in your hand, really. Finally, onto energy. We're playing 4 strong, because of course it ups our output, and 7 fighting energies. Just the basic fighting. We only need to play fighting because Drifblim hits for colourless, and so does Spiritomb if you really need to grab a fresh hand. But I feel comfortable with 11 energies. I upped it from 10 in my last deck because we've thrown another Lucario in, and obviously he takes more energy most of the time than just the Landorus. So having that 11th energy just helps us get into it more often. So I'm pretty comfortable with the deck right now. There are 1 or 2 amendments I would make, but like I say, this is almost a finished product. I've got top 8 with it, and I ran very smoothly throughout the day. I think I dead drew maybe 2 games out of my whole time, so that's pretty awesome. So at least it's consistent, and like I say, you only really need an energy to start putting pressure on the opponent. That's what I love so much about this deck. You don't need a god hand to actually do what you need to do. You don't need to have some things like Donphan always pretty much needs a Karina to get started and stuff like that. This guy just needs energy. This deck just needs energy, that's it. To start at least making your opponent think a little bit about their plays. So that's what's awesome. And you also have a lot of toys in here to troll your opponent and make it very difficult for them to pull off their strategy. These headringers, these hammers, the escape ropes, and the max potion. These 4 cards can really, when played at the right times, can really disrupt your opponent. And I didn't see a lot of Headringer the whole day, to be honest. I didn't play anyone with Headringer, like I say. This really surprised me. I thought a lot of people were going to play it. I think it was around, but it just wasn't around me, I guess. And this is, I cannot say enough about it. It really helped me out in so many games yesterday. So there is the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for the tournament report of me getting to the top 8 with this deck. That should be pretty interesting. Also, I'll talk about how many Masters there were, how many rounds, and what happened in the top 8, the top 4, and the final. And remember, we also have footage of the final for you guys to watch as well, probably commentated by myself or Jack. So stay tuned for all of that stuff. And I've also got other stuff in store. I've got a new deck to show off. And of course, there's always PTCGO battles and analysis and stuff like that. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. And for all of those in the tournament, we're racking up. I think we've got about 16 names so far. So really get the word out. And if you still want to join, there is the chance to do so. You're not too late. You can still give us a message. Go back to that video where it explains all the prizes and stuff like that. So please do check that out. I would love to have it as 32. We're probably going to close it maybe a couple of days, maybe half a week after Christmas. So stay tuned for that, guys. We've not forgotten about it. This tournament is going to happen. So yeah, I've been Joe from OmniPoke, and see you next time.